Cybersecurity is quickly coming into focus here in Texas and really all around the world. And now tension with Russia is causing concern about hackers trying to breach the Texas power grid. Thanks for joining us for KVUE News at 6 tonight. I'm Brian May.
And I'm Quita Culpepper. Texas energy companies are on alert for threats to their digital systems. The Texas Tribune reports Russian hackers have been checking utilities and the Texas power grid for weak points. And while that's not unusual, the incident started increasing after Russia invaded Ukraine. A breach could lead to a leak of sensitive information or even a disruption to electricity. Last week, President Joe Biden said the U.S. has intelligence that the Russian government is exploring options for potential cyber attacks.
Here to discuss is cybersecurity expert Micahel Mabee, based here in Texas and specializes in security for the United States electric grid. Thanks so much for joining us this afternoon.
Thanks a lot for having me. Great honor.
Well, the Texas Tribune story says that hackers have been probing for weak spots in digital systems. How are they doing this, and what exactly are they looking for?
Well, actually, we know from congressional hearings that the Russians and the Chinese, state actors such as the Russians and the Chinese, have actually been penetrating the U.S. electric grid since at least 2003. And we also know that the Russians particularly blacked out the Ukraine power grid in both 2015 and 2016 in cyber attacks. And then finally, Secretary of Energy Jennifer Granholm last June acknowledged that state adversaries such as Russia and China have the ability to shut off the U.S. electric grid through a cyber attack. So this is presently an issue of very, very high concern.
Would this be similar to what happened last year when Russian hackers were able to essentially shut down that Colonial Pipeline company for several days? Is that the kind of thing we're talking about here?
Yeah, that's one example. That particular cyber attack was a ransomware attack. So that's one type. There are also cyber attacks such as the Stuxnet attack, which can actually damage equipment. And part of the problem in the United States is there are over 3,000 different entities, both public and private sector, that are part of the electric grid. So that's 3,000 barn doors that have to be guarded.
We've seen we're here in Texas, of course, we've seen the state power grid go through problems over the last couple of years. Here in Texas, is that a big problem? Do you think our power grid could withstand a significant cyber attack?
I do not. And in Texas in particular, according to U.S. Department of Energy information, 71% of the electric disturbance events were due to weather, which one might expect. But 3% of them, of the electric disturbance events, were due to cyber attack, and 22% were due to physical attack. So in Texas, our power grid is very, very vulnerable both to man-made hazards as well as Mother Nature.
Cybersecurity expert Micahel Mabee, thank you so much for your time joining us here on KVUE this afternoon.
It's a pleasure. Thank you.
Now, we reached out to ERCOT and several energy providers in Central Texas to ask them how they're taking steps to prevent cyber attacks. Austin Energy sent us a statement saying, quote, Austin Energy continuously monitors for threats and is prepared to defend the grid and our infrastructure and systems, end quote.